How's everyone doing? Good. All right. I'm excited to be here. I feel like a broken record because I tell my class this all the time, but these are some of my favorite topics. And so anytime I can share them, I love to. So I'm really happy to talk about this. So we're going to talk about advanced business model innovation. Oh, hold on. There we go. Here's our agenda. So before we sort of get into business models, we're going to do a little bit with advanced thinking, specifically challenging our own assumptions. And I do that because it's an exercise that executives do with Fortune 500 companies, so really high level, big companies. But it's something that works at the founder level. And it's something that I encourage those wanting to start a business to learn how to do and do more often. Okay? And I think you'll find it beneficial. So let me give you a scenario. You're part of a management team. Say you're an executive, right, or upper management. And part of your role, you have to help decide when to give the support to a project, right? So someone, lower level employee, maybe mid-level even, says, hey, I think if we launch this new product, it's going to help our company. All right, so put yourself in the executive team role. What are some of the pieces of information you would want to know before you can make that decision? Costs? Costs of the product? Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Is there a market for it?
Is there a market for it? Good, absolutely. And we're going to talk about that and how it's relevant to business models in just a second. But yeah, if there's not a market for it, we better not green light this. Yeah.
Does it improve the company name?
Ooh, okay. Okay, does it strengthen our brand? Does it align with our brand? Right? That's two different questions, both very important. Yes.
Yeah, and I think something about the cost, knowing if it's within the company's budget.
Okay, if it's within the company's budget, good. Yeah.
So I'm assuming we're going to answer the question, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking if the person took into consideration the history of the business or like the things that was done before coming up to the idea to prevent doing the same idea that was pitched before.
Mm-hmm.
So just making sure that he also is familiar with the history or what happened before that was also helping the team.
Okay, good. Okay. And so, and all of those, exactly right. All of those are going to factor in. Typically, the default, especially as upper management, not always, but they'll tend to default to sort of the easy metric, which is what? What do you think the easy metric is? Money? Right? How much will this add to our bottom line and how soon? All right, so on one hand, if you pitch this idea and say, hey, we've got a great product, it fits with our brand, but it's going to lose us money and it won't be ready for 5 years. Even when it's ready, it's still going to lose us money. The chances of executive teams saying go forward are probably pretty slim, right? So what happens? Well, those individuals on the middle management team, they typically know just how to frame, we'll call it, frame the projections so that they're exciting enough. Right? So they know they can't come in and say, this is going to lose us money. There's no way that'll get. So instead, they make the projections nice and pretty. They look strong. They're going to add to the company's bottom line and immediately. Okay? And too often companies default to that and make decisions based on projection. Now, projections matter, but I want to teach you an alternate method. All right, and this comes from the late Clayton Christensen, who was a famous researcher, consultant out of Harvard, who was a member of our church as well, died back in 2020. So his is to challenge the assumptions of the project by asking, what has to prove true for this to work? Okay, think about that for a second. That's a much different question than how much money is this going to make us, right? And all the other typical default metrics. So let me give you an example of a few, and you can practice putting this to work. Okay, anyone know that place? It's a Disney park. Does anyone know which one? It's not Disney World. No, not Disneyland Hong Kong. Not Tokyo. Paris, Disneyland Paris. It was Disney's fourth park, and it was a disaster. In fact, in the first 2 years, it lost the company $2 billion. Here's what happened. So they had 3 parks up and running that were successful, and they went off of metrics from those parks and said, okay, if we duplicate that, we'll have success. So here's our financial estimates. We anticipate every year we'll have 11 million visitors the park based on the averages from other parks, and they'll stay for 3 days, right? Simple math. That's 33 million guest visits. So he said, this is what we average at the other parks. So boom, let's go ahead and plan. And they built all the infrastructure around the park to support it. So hotels and shops and everything you could want. So what has to prove true for this to work? So this is their key assumption. And they bet a lot of money on this working. So what has to prove true for that to work? Yeah.
I mean, they have to accommodate for the 33 visitors. They have to have accommodations for the 33 visitors. There has to be a demand as well.
Good, good. What kind of accommodations?
Space for them, place to sleep if they're
Okay.
3 days.
Okay, good, good. And one thing Disneyland, as successful as it was, the mistake they made, by Walt's own admission, was not securing enough land around the park, right? And so when they built Disney World in Florida, they bought way more land than they even thought they needed for that very reason, to protect and insulate. And so with this, they followed suit in subsequent parks and built all the accommodations around the outside hotels and everything to support this many. Okay, good. And there would need to be demand. Anything else? What else would have to prove true for that to work? Maybe the appeal would have to be there, right? Europeans, specifically those countries around France and France itself, maybe Disney doesn't have the same appeal. They're assuming it does. Okay? Well, here's what happened. Here's why they lost so much money in the beginning. They assumed this, they built the accommodations, but all the other Disney parks average about 45 rides or attractions at the time. They built 15. So 15 is not very much. So they did get 11 million guests, but they stayed for one day. That was enough. And so their projections were way off, and so they had all sorts of overhead they were trying to make up for. Okay, but they fixed it, and they all live happily ever after, or something. Okay, Honda. So say it with me. Honda is known for their motorcycles. Okay, they started out with motorcycles, at least trying to enter the US. So in the late 50s, early 60s, they thought, now Harley Davidson was the dominant American brand in the US, but there was a brand called Triumph that they thought they could steal from Triumph 10% of the import market. All right? What has to prove true for that to work? What are the hidden underlying assumptions that they're making and relying upon? Yeah?
Durability of the bike, the quality of the bike.
Okay. Yeah, is quality, durability going to be the same as those bikes? Okay, good. That matters. Yeah.
Does it have the same appeal?
Does it have the same appeal? Good. Yeah. Well, it didn't. It didn't have the same appeal. In fact, when it first entered, and this is weird to think of when you think of Honda, but it was thought of as the poor man's bicycle. Okay? So it didn't have a great reputation. Well, to make matters worse, this machine leaked oil. On top of that, none of the mechanics in the US were trained to repair. And so they had to ship these back to Japan to get fixed, ship them back to the US to their owner. This alone nearly sunk Honda as a company until something happened kind of as a happy accident. So out in their US headquarters in LA, you can imagine morale was pretty low. They shipped out what's called the Cub 50, and this was typically this was a messenger bike, so very common in high populated, high dense cities to deliver parts back and forth to go from shop to shop. Nothing else. Well, at the time, LA was not that crowded, believe it or not, right? We're talking again, late 50s, early 60s, not that crowded. Employees started taking these out into the West Hills of LA, which are not deserted anymore, right? They can't do that. They would go out and take them for joyrides. And people started noticing this. And all of a sudden, Honda gets a call from Sears and says, "We want to sell your bike." And Honda said, "Great." And Sears said, "No, this." And Honda said, "No, that's not for sale. That's not the bike we're selling." "Well, we have a purchase order for $5,000. "Okay, it's for sale." Okay? This bike saved Honda, at least their American experiment. And further, this bike is credited for creating what is now the line of dirt bikes, in the category of dirt bikes. Okay. Okay, so now turning to business models, and we'll blend these two. But what is a business model, and how can you determine when you have a bad business model? I know Rory knows this, and a few others in here. What is a business model? In its simplest form. Hawk, come on.
Plan to make money.
Yeah, plan to make money. Okay? How do you know when you have a bad one? You're not making money? Okay.
Without data,
What's that?
without data,
Without data?
information or data.
Okay. You don't have information or data to support it? Okay. Yeah, so when you're not making money, here are business model killers. So you're solving an irrelevant customer job. Kind of what's become the famous example is the Segway, right? Segway, we thought we were solving a problem that I guess people were too lazy to walk. And they developed the Segway, and well, the pain they were addressing wasn't that painful after all. It certainly wasn't worth that much. And so Segway's kind of become kind of the biggest flop and highlighting this point. Okay, so make sure your business and your business model solves a pain that is painful enough and for enough people. That's something we've talked about in New Venture Finance is you might think it's painful, but you have to realize not everyone thinks like you do or I do. So understanding, is this painful for enough people? Number two, a flawed business model, right? And so this could be a business model that incurs more costs than it generates revenue. It's a pretty bad start. Neglecting external threats. We saw this highlighted during COVID. Companies that were unable to adapt and pivot due to external threats didn't survive. But companies that had contingency plans, kind of a backup plan, companies that continually scan the external market for threats and trends are far better off and more likely to succeed. And then number four, just poor execution. This one probably is the more common one. And so the takeaway there, make sure you have the right team. You might have a great value proposition, a great business model, but if you can't execute it, it won't do you much good, right? Okay. So key takeaways of business models. So it's a company's core strategy for profitability. Models generally include information like products or services, the business plans to sell, target markets, and anticipate expenses. All right. Here's an example of some of the more common business models. So again, these are strategies or methods, how you go about making money, generating a profit, right? So there's several different ways to do that. It's not just developing a great product or service. It's putting that into some sort of process, some sort of method to get your product to the end user. Okay, so razor blade. What's an example of that? Can you think of a company? What? Gilletto? Is that how you say it? Gillette. So that one is on the nose, right? So Gillette, razor company. So the thinking here, you buy the razor, but what do you have to keep buying again and again? The razor blade, right? Because it wears out. So the razor itself, lower profit margins to get you to get it, right? Reasonably priced. But then the blades, very, very high profit margins. Any other companies do that? Printers, right? Printers and cartridges. That's the razor blade. Any others? Yeah.
Costco.
How so?
They sell memberships.
Ooh, okay. What about, anyone play video games? gaming console. Again, even as prices they are and margins have gone up, but still lower profit margins. Games, huge profit margins. It's so cheap, copy and paste those video games, right? But they're 50, 60 bucks. Did I see a hand back here? Oh, you're just saying you play video games? Oh, good. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. How about subscription? This one's pretty common. Okay. This could be even just having a subscription to a magazine. It's still around, but for a while, this was a craze of sort of a box subscription. So every month you'd get a box of something related to something, right? So that was a kind of a popular way for newer startups to get their products out there. One of the appeals with subscription is people often forget they have them, especially if you're auto paying with a credit card. Charges month after month, and you say, oh, I meant to cancel that, and then you forget again, right? It's great for the company. All right, pay as you go. If anyone has like a Cricket cell phone or any of those where you pay by the minute type of phones, okay, that's pay as you go model. Wholesale. Now our minds go to Costco, but this is slightly different. Wholesale, nearly every retailer, so whether it's Long's to Costco, they utilize wholesale. So manufacturers of companies sell their product in bulk for lower prices. The retailer marks it up and sells it to us. So that's wholesale. What's agency? Yeah.
Would that be like like a tour agency where people come to the company and then they arrange like a tour package for them, but they also add more charges for their service in arranging these things?
Yeah, good. So it could be a travel agent, tour guide, it could be a real estate agent. This is for typically service-based business, so you're providing a service rather than a product, right? Bundling. What's that? What's bundling? Rory?
Service and a product get together, sold at the same time, or selling a couple of things together, but because you're getting a couple of them, you get it for cheaper.
Yeah. So it's a way to package different products together, usually complementary products. So the big one I see right now is if you have Verizon or T-Mobile as your cell phone provider, well, in the past couple of years, they've started providing internet as well, right? So I have Verizon for my cell phone, might as well get Verizon for my internet too, right? So bundle it together, and the thinking, and hopefully for us, is we're paying less for each one individually, and so combined, we're better off than going separately to different companies. Okay, freemium. This is one of the newest. This is one of the newest business models to come along. What's the freemium business model? Roy?
Basic package is free, but if you want upgrades, then you pay a subscription or membership fee or something like that.
Okay. Anyone have an example of a freemium?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, good. Spotify, yeah. Yeah, YouTube now. Yep. If you want to get rid of the ads, the commercials, you got to pay up, right? Apps do this very commonly. Okay. All right. And freemium is a great example. That was sort of born out of the razor blade model, right? If you think about that, the free part is the razor, and then the premium part is the razor blade. Okay. So something we learned in New Venture Finance just a week ago, something about the pivot. Now, we talked about the killers of business models. Well, what happens if, as you're analyzing your business model, you see one of those flaws? Are you sunk? Should you quit? What are your options?
Sorry, can you come with the question again?
Sure. So, and I'll go back to this slide. So we showed these business model killers. What happens if you find, well, I have a flaw in my business model? What options do you have at that point? Do you give up? Do you quit? Yeah.
Well, technically, I would say it's not bad to pivot, nor bad to quit. It all boils down to how you can improve your product or your
Yeah.
service. Because maybe when you bring up your business, you realize that so much organizations have the same thing, they are bringing the same value.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's not bad to pivot. At the same time, you can be creative and find what else or how far can you go to add more value to your product or service so that you can get more customers' attention.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, and what was your name?
Kenneth.
Kenneth. Yeah. Right. And so if you heard Kenneth, hopefully your first instinct, your first option is to look at how could I pivot. And we talked about this in New Venture Finance of companies that were famous for pivoting. And so you can take almost any given company, and what they are now is not what they once were. And the only reason they are what they are now is because they pivoted from what they once were. Follow that? So as a quick example, we talked about the app called Burbn. It was Burbn. And this was a social media app. And this app had a whole bunch of features. It had a way for you to share photos. It had a way for you to check in and say, hey, I'm at the ball game or I'm up here on campus. It had a way for you to message people. It even had games on it. So I had a game called Mafia Wars and a few others. The feedback that they got from customers was, this is way too crowded. There's too much to do on this app. And so they stripped back all the features except for one, the one that was the most popular, and that was photo sharing. So they scrapped all those other features, they rebranded and renamed. What are they today? Instagram. Right? And so the ability to pivot becomes the difference in whether a company succeeds or fails. Okay, now I want to show you a video, and it's a commercial. It's a commercial from 1959. And this video, well, let's watch it. Let's watch the video. And then we're going to talk about the pivot they made in their business model.
For the third year in a row, one of our television spot announcements was termed the best spot of the year at the American Television Commercial Festival. This is the one.
When we say the Xerox 914 makes copies on ordinary paper, we mean ordinary paper. For instance, office stationery.
Team 5 of these. Feel free to look at your cards when you get them.
I'm Pablo. Pablo, where are you from? What? The promise.
Let's see. Team right here? Okay. Team? Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, you can look at your cards, make sure you have 5. Okay, does everyone have a set of cards? Yeah? Okay. Here's the rules. So you have, the green cards are demographic cards, right? And so again, look at them. And me, as the dealer, I have category cards that are business models. And so I'm going to draw a card, and you have 1 minute to pick one of your demographic cards. Then you'll have another 3 minutes. Okay, perfect. Then you'll have another 3 minutes. Let's do 2. 2 minutes to pair the two together. So for example, I have a demographic card of 20 to 30-year-old singles living in apartments. Okay? Anyone relate to that? And the business model is a fitness or health service or app. All right, so I would ideally come up with some kind of fitness or health service app targeted towards 20 to 30-year-olds. Okay? Then you're going to pitch them. You're going to pitch your new business to the group, and I'll draw on Sister Coons and others to help be our judges. Okay, so begin. 1 minute, decide on. The category is brick and mortar retail store. So that's a physical in-person retail store. You'll just help me judge when they pitch, and that's how we'll decide the winners.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll probably just do 1 round, I'm guessing. Yeah. 10 seconds. Start thinking of who you want to pitch. Okay, time. Any volunteers to go first? Okay. Want to go first? Okay. Okay, everyone, let's listen to this first team.
Okay. So we chose.
What was tell us your demographic.
Yeah, so our demographic is DIY enthusiasts
Okay?
that are expert at everything they do.
So that's do it yourself. Okay?
And then we chose to be very specific on our store, so it's like a paint shop that specializes in they have different paints and then also dry wallpaper. So
Okay? What sets you apart from other paint shops?
our unique styles, unique colors.
Okay, okay. Okay. Okay, let's go group right behind him. We'll go. What is it? Amusement park.
Fanatics.
Amusement park fanatics. Okay. Sure, sure.
Amusement park is what?
Amusement park fanatics. Okay, what's your idea?
It's like we get to serve customers on the physical park. We don't know.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Let's go in the back there. Say it again. Boat owners and sailors. Okay, what's your idea? What's your new business?
Just a store that sell boat pods and stuff, and what's unique about it is every customer come and buy, then we give them free wine.
Free wine? Okay.
What are they selling?
Free, boat parts, but they give the customers free wine. Okay, right here.
We charge cubicle workers.
Cubicle workers. Okay.
In our store, we're selling products that help them, so they don't get bored at work.
That sounds impossible.
I get to see that has a fun thing to do. If they're bored, they can do something.
Something that squeezes in the least ice and everything like that.
Okay, so little games targeted to workers to fight boredom. Okay. Let's go back here.
We have nutrition freaks.
Say it again.
Nutrition freaks.
Nutrition freaks. Okay.
The idea that we have, we're gonna teach people how to cook healthy food, and we sell those ingredients.
Okay. Teach them about healthy foods and selling those ingredients to them. Okay. Let's go right here.
Okay, so we had sports game attendees,
Okay.
but we decided to pivot this a little bit because we all know that going to sports games are really expensive. So we want to have a restaurant that's like a sports hub. So there'll be giant TVs and things, and we'll like broadcast certain deals during like dinner time when there's a big sports game going on. So when people want to go, and then all those fans from that team will go and yeah.
Okay. All right. There, here, yeah.
So we have caffeine junkies.
Who?
Caffeine junkies.
Caffeine. All right. Okay.
So we were thinking of, because what we talked about is controlling the caffeine intake, because it says here that can't sleep because of caffeine or can't function without it because of lack of sleep. And so we thought of either a candy or a gum, where if you're intaking the candy, you intake caffeine, but if you're about to go to bed, then you can just throw the candy or like throw the gum, and then that will stop the caffeine intake already, and you will still be able to go to sleep.
Okay. Okay. All right, right here.
Instead of drinking caffeine, you're going to have candy or gum for your caffeine?
Yes.
And then we'll come to you guys. Yeah. Here and then you.
Our demographic is soccer moms who drive minivans.
Soccer moms who drive minivan. Okay.
So like we were thinking of not really the soccer mom, but the children that come with it. So kind of like a equipment store, you know, maybe in times like a little grocery because you obviously need to provide snacks, refreshments. I know for that is a need, especially here in Hawaii. The Sports Authority, when they went bankrupt, and then everybody goes to Amazon, but it kind of sucks because you cannot try on the merchandise to see if it actually fits. So we're thinking like, that type of store, and like you start off, you know, any purchase you come in, you get 15% off.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Sorry. Something like a sport.
Like a sports store.
Like almost like a Sports Authority or a Decathlon store.
Yeah.
But you get 50% off anything that's in the store.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went with people obsessed with their image.
People obsessed with their image. Okay.
That can often be reflected in their houses. So
Okay.
when you buy a house, everything is not exactly how you want it. And so if you want to change it, come to our store. We have live construction workers on site, and we teach construction classes so that you get to do it yourself how you want it done.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right here.
So we have high-end shoppers.
High-end shoppers. Okay.
And we were thinking like a luxury store where we customize their apparel, but it has to have a VIP entrance.
Ooh.
Customize their what?
Customized apparel, so customized clothes.
With a VIP entrance.
VIP entrance.
Okay. Right here. Bella.
It's water sport fanatics.
Water sport fanatics.
What we're thinking for this business, for the demographic, we want to have a shop with retail, sell any type of sport equipment. Also we support with the training or course for
Okay.
diving course or diving trips with the promo with our equipment.
Okay. Combine equipment with trips, certification. Okay. All right, Rory's team.
Alright, sweet. So ours are for man cavers, the sanctuary men use to escape their wives. So our business, it is a hardware store, but it comes with a membership, and with the membership, we have a partnership with a pool lounge. So you get discounts on Tuesdays as well as invitations so twice a month we have events on in the evenings. One is just to catch up at the pool lounge, free entry to memberships.
Okay.
And then the other one is a workshop because it's man cavers. So the pool lounge one will be talk about all the geeky stuff or the cars depending on what your man cave has. And then the other one is a workshop about learning life skills. And so it's included in your membership. And then as you're, depending on the length of time of your membership, there's like different tokens you receive to put up with it.
Okay. Okay. All right, last group.
We have hat collectors.
Hat.
Collectors?
Hat.
Hat. Oh, hat collectors.
Hat collectors.
So we have a small high-end hat store where we make gold tiaras and whatnot.
Okay.
And then we also do cleanings of nicely like fur and whatnot type of hats. And we have a spray that we sell there as well, just if you want to do it by yourself. And we make custom hats, whether it's fur or gold.
Okay. Okay. There's not a ton that stand out. We had, drum roll, man cavers and nutrition store. Yeah, nutrition store. Yeah, in the very back. Okay, nice job. Yeah, that's all we have for tonight. We're out of time anyways. Sister Coons, anything else to? Honorable mention. What do you think? Bringing a sports store back to the island because Sports Authority left.
Yeah. The more kids you have, the more.
Yeah.
That's probably the best one to have.
I'm good with that.
How about we need a tie vote. So how many of you? I want to hear. What one team should be number 3?
Probably should have said between these two. Which one do you guys think
Yeah,
we're picking?
yeah.
I guess some people don't really care about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a book and a shirt.
Yeah,
I mean, soccer moms.
Soccer mom.
Soccer moms.